So Nick, we are here with Samuel John Peploe's still life with fruit and flowers, which is really what the Scottish colourist and modern Scottish art is all about.
Yeah, it's a fantastic example, though I think you'll agree not exactly typical. I must confess I've never seen one quite like it. Doing your exhibition, did you come across anything?
Yes, when I curated the Scottish colourist series of exhibitions at the National Galleries of Scotland that included retrospectives of Peploe and his great friend Cadell, of course, a lot of emphasis was on the extraordinary boldness of their work, not just in palette, as we see here, but in technique, as we also see here. And for me, this is a testament not only to modernity, but also to friendship, because so much of this painting is about his friendship with Bunty, as Cadell was known.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, there are typical elements, the blue vase, the blue bowl, this piece of ribbon that you often see in Cadell's work. I would agree with you. I mean, I think Peploe has taken it one stage further, however, and that's what I find so exciting about the picture. As you know, Bunty had his walls painted that sort of pale violet colour, and Peploe's decided to go one further, and he's come up with this extraordinary kind of I don't know how quite you'd describe it. What colour would you describe that as?
Well, it's between a lilac and a purple, isn't it?
It is.
Because after Cadell was demobilised after serving in World War I, he bought 6 Ainsley Place in Edinburgh's New Town. And the wonderfully chic decoration and furnishing of it is the subject of many of Cadell's most celebrated interior paintings. And an outstanding feature was that lilac colour of his walls. So we don't know if Peploe and Cadell literally painted side by side in Cadell's house, but the colour of the background in this painting is clearly a reference to that. Yeah. And the sharing of props, you know, the orange rimmed plate, for example, we see that in Cadell's paintings at the time. And I think the fact that this painting is still has the power to stop us in our tracks some 100 years after it was made. Can you imagine the impact it would have had in the Royal Scottish Academy annual exhibition at the time?
Yes, no, I agree. I think the other interesting thing about the picture is it does hark back to French painting of the period in a way that his later still lives, perhaps it's not quite so obvious. But, you know, the use of the red outline, the bold, the greens here as the highlights, you often see those in the portraits of the Fauve painters. So it's a very exciting picture, I must say.
That's right. This is Peploe bringing the European avant-garde to Scotland. And he couldn't have painted in this manner if he hadn't had those 2 key years in Paris with Ferguson, another Scottish colourist, between 1910 and 1912. And these works have that lasting power of modernity, which I think is absolutely stunning.
Seen in a wider context, it's interesting how radical they are in comparison perhaps with some of their English compatriots.
Yes, I mean, I think that the importance of particularly Peploe and Ferguson's time in Paris before World War I hasn't been fully recognised. What I think Still Life with Fruit and Flowers shows us is that Scottish artists in the early 20s were really engaging with the very latest developments in European painting. But this is also an incredibly personal painting because this was when Cadell and Peploe's friendship really was at its closest. You can imagine the thrill of those 2 artist friends discussing all these innovations and then painting them for themselves.
Well, we've got another still life by Peploe in the sale, which is more characteristic of what one might expect from him, with the lovely pastel colours and beautiful modelling. But the same characteristics are to be seen in both paintings. And, you know, the way that Peploe models the fruit in particular, I think is remarkable. And although they are visually very, very different, the same qualities are seen in both paintings.
I mean, he's a master of painting with oils, and some of my favourite passages in this work are the reflection in the glazed blue jug rendered just with a couple of choppy brushstrokes. And you can only do that if you really know what you're doing. And then other passages to realise shadows that are built up of 3 or 4 different layered colours.
Yeah. No, I think it's a remarkable picture.